So one of the things I've been struggling a lot recently with is the demands of being someone who's a public figure who operates primarily online or on a public platform. You know, there's this assumption, this automatic assumption that when you're in a public forum, you have to be perfect. Like, you don't make mistakes, you don't have any controversial opinions, and you just say what people want to hear. You know, and I guess when I was younger, I kind of held celebrities in the same kind of esteem, you know, like we'd see them and we'd magnify their characters, intensify the traits we like, and then just attribute to them. Like, we wanted people behind the screens to be everything that we're not. I think it's like this obsession with boxes and screens. It automatically validates or makes the person more credible, or we're more in awe of them. You know, and I feel like being a figure that's behind the screen, people don't want you to be normal. You know, you could meet me on any other day and I'd be one of the most normal people you ever met. But once I turn on this camera, I need to be perfect, you know. I need to be a role model, you know, because so many people are watching me. The term role model as well, it comes with so many connotations. Like, what really is a role model? I think Tupac said it amazingly, like, do you want a real model or a role model?
I want to be, instead of a role model, I want to be a real model.
If you don't know where that comes from, like, check out the interview. But, you know, why is it that we relate to people differently online than we do in real life, you know? If you're not going to say it to my face, why would you say it online? I mean, there's so many people who spend their whole time just dissing you online. Then when they see you in real life, the first thing they say is, oh my God, I love your work. I know that if I ever see some subscribers in real life, I'd punch them up. But essentially what it means is that I feel like there's responsibility for me not to be 100% myself. So we have to create these characters and these personas that make other people feel comfortable. I don't know, is it an insecurity? Because people seem shocked when they see someone in the public eye getting drunk or smoking weed or pissing on the street corner, having sex. But you know that they are only human, right? I mean, I don't drink, I don't smoke. Sometimes I piss in a public place. But what is this learned online mindset that we adopt, you know? Let me give you an example, like Kanye. Take Kanye West for an example. You know, I love Kanye West. He's a musical genius. Since his first album, I don't care what you say. But there's this kind of online shared practice that it's okay to ridicule him. So let's imagine Kanye was a kid in your school, you know, and everyone was making fun of him. So you're like, oh, because everyone else makes fun of him, it's okay to make fun and make jokes out of him. You know what that's called? That's called bullying. And I'm sure there is a kid in your school like that. And some of you may feel bad when everyone else does it. But why is it okay that online we can collectively bully individuals? That's just one example of how a lot of people become different people online, which is just crazy. So why is it you need people that are in a public forum or celebrities to be perfect? Wouldn't you want them to be realistic? But it's like, that's not what people want. And I wonder, is that an insecurity? Is that what validates them saying, yeah, you know, I can never be like that person because they're perfect, or they don't do this, I'm just a regular person? Or is that just a result of these boxes that we live behind? Once I get behind the screen, do I have to forget who I really am? Or is it you viewers that forget who you really are?
What's going on?
Bruv,
There's no money on the card.
boss, please, I beg you, I'm in such a rush to be somewhere right now.
No, please. That's why you do things. On this box, you have to touch your eyes. That's the only way you can come on.
I'm in such, I beg you, I need to be somewhere proper important, boss. Please, is there no way you can just give it a blind this time? Please, just once.
Well, the only way I can assist you is if you pay cash. You don't have cash, I can't help you.
I don't even accept cash on the bus.
You need to get on the bus or not? Exactly.
Oh, you're joking, boss, right?
You can drop the bus. It's how you pay me cash. You got £10 there.
I've got £2, boss, please.
You're talking rubbish. You have £2.
I need to be somewhere so important.
If you need to be there so importantly, you haven't got money on your oyster. If you have £10, I can help you. If not, please, leave.
You're a crook.
God bless you.
You're a flipping crook, bro. Take your money. I hope you can do something with your flipping crook.
Have a lovely day.
This is the 141 to Wood Green. Please be aware, pickpockets operate in this area.
bus is so packed. You guys, where are you from? Pardon? Be sociable, we're on a bus, bro. I've come away, you're gonna be in here. I'm going to Wood Green, where are you guys heading? You're going Campbell, you're in the wrong direction, babes. You're going in completely the wrong direction. Seriously, I mean, you guys look like tourists. Anyone from Birmingham? Manchester? Or them other dead cities? It's cool, let's be honest though. Let's, nah man, I might as well have a conversation with you guys while I'm here. I mean, let's be honest though, like, really, when you guys from like all the other cities travel and people ask you where you're from, it's all about how relative distance it is from London, innit? So they'll be like, you'd be like, I'm from Birmingham, which is about an hour and a half from London, you know, or I'm from Manchester, which is like 3 hours from London, or I'm from Scarborough, where no one ever goes. But if you've ever been to London, I guess what we all know is that our transport system is one of our biggest trademarks. You know, we have the Oyster cards, we have the rail cards, we have all these rail cards, all these transportation systems. We have the freedom pass. Has anyone ever had a freedom pass? Freedom pass is like, for those of you who don't know, obviously there's dire circumstances in which you're eligible for one, but freedom passes essentially gives you free travel all over the world. It's like the holy grail of travel cards, literally. But unless you're either severely handicapped or you're elderly, you don't actually get to use the freedom pass. But I'll tell you a quick story before I start, since we're going on a long journey anyway. I remember when I was about 16, my boy came to me one day. My boy Jesse, I'm not sure if he's here today. He came to me and he said to me, bro, guess what I got? And I was like, yeah, well, what you got? And it was proper like one of the movies, you know, like when you reveal something. Has anyone ever played Zelda, you guys? You know when you reveal the thing and it goes, it was that kind of, so we're sitting there, it was like, and he opens it up, and my guy's got a freedom pass. And this is literally like, he's literally like becomes the king of the estate overnight. Like people are like, literally a bidding war starts. People are offering like £200, £300, and bear in mind, he's 16, but my dude's holding strong. He's not selling to no one, you know what I mean? He's got this thing, it's made him who he is. So I remember one day, I was actually like, times were pretty hard, I'm not gonna lie. And I went up to him, I was like, bro, can I borrow your freedom pass? He was like, eventually I persuaded him. This was the best day of my life. I kid you not, like I was going up and down the city. So on my way back, literally one stop from my house, guess who gets on the bus? An inspector. One stop from my house, I kid you not. One stop from my house, an inspector gets on the bus. But bear in mind, I've got the freedom pass. Anyone who gets on the bus in London just knows the Oyster card goes beep, beep. So I'm thinking it's calm, like it's the same noise, why am I stressing? This dude's walking down, checking everyone. He checks me, and I just tap it and it goes beep, beep. Now I swear someone must train these guys to actually do this, yeah? Because he was just so calm about it. He goes, oh, can I see that for a second, mate? And obviously me being naive, thinking, what's he gonna do? He's not gonna take it. So I just hold it, you know when you try and hold onto the side like that? Guy just literally snatched it out of my hand and put it in his pocket. Like he put literally, and he started walking down the flipping, like just down the thing. So at this point, like, has your life ever flashed before your eyes? Now, real talk, has your life ever, like, I was thinking, oh my God, like the whole estate, you know, the whole fate of the estate's resting on my shoulders. And I'm thinking, you know what? I'm from Wood Green, I don't play that. No one's gonna mug me off. I don't care whether they're a flipping ticket inspector or what. So I'm like, muster up the courage. I roll up to him. I say, please. Yeah, but that's just digress. It's just so interesting that we have all these like concepts of freedom, like freedom pass or transportation, but in reality, we only ever go into the zones which we're permitted to. We pay where we go, and we end up where we're paid to go. You know what I mean? We don't actually have, it's a kind of an illusion of freedom. And at one point, it gets, for so many of us, that it becomes robotic. Have you guys ever seen the commuters in the morning? Like, it's essentially like, they become like zombies. Just tap, go, same destination, and there's this illusion that they really know where they're going. Because I see dead people, men walking into offices to sit in coffins.
We stand in firing lines outside classrooms designed to kill everything unique about us. They did say that the good die young. Abraham is the only man I ever knew who was ready to stand at the altar and sacrifice his happiness for someone else. And even he hesitated. Even God agreed that it wasn't worth it. Answer me this. Have you ever played spot the difference between living and existing? What does unhappiness taste like? And you try and brush it out of your mouth every night before you go to sleep, Monday to Friday before you head out, only for it to leave a bitter aftertaste in your mouth on a Sunday evening. You see, sometimes making bread can be a recipe for disaster. When was the last time you fed your soul? And didn't your parents teach you to always finish your plate? Because I think we can all agree that slavery's still alive, but we're just concealing it. Because maybe it's easier to admit to defeat the truth we're afraid to admit to ourselves. So instead we carry on digging our own graves, chasing promotions we don't really want to hang around our necks like medals, but instead they hang around our necks like nooses, attached to glass ceilings, daring us to jump. And most of us don't even have the courage to jump. So instead, we remain perched on an office chair in purgatory, not living or dying, just surviving, just getting by in. And I sit at the edge of this graveyard trying to use my words like flowers to mourn the ones that we lost. But sometimes I feel like flowers are not enough. Or maybe, just maybe, there are too many graves.
I see them too. Dead people. Oh, Old Street Station. A light here for Moorfields Eye Hospital. As I was saying, dead people. Not dead as in bang bang dead. I see metaphorically dead people all the time on my bus. A whole lot more when I used to work on the tube. The metaphorically dead love the tube. Oh, I know it's not many of you, but I know there must be at least one person here, there's always one, who doesn't know what a metaphor is, and that's okay. Just turn to the person next to you and ask, or do a quick Google search for the definition of a metaphor. It's probably best if you just get it out of the way and do it now, because Suli, he's quite big on his metaphors. Oh, and this is really important. If you are doing the Google search on an iPhone, make sure you actually type in google.com or dictionary.com or whatever. Do not, under any circumstances, ask Siri. Christ, I can't stand that bitch. Before Siri was Siri, of course she'll never admit this, but everyone at TFL knows. She was the voice of the 184 bus to Wood Green. That was until she stole my job at Apple. I'm the one that told her Apple were looking for new voices. They were specifically looking for a UK-based female voice who, I quote, had a wealth of experience. I've done buses, obviously. As you know, I had a brief stint on tubes. I've done answering machines, I've done lifts. I have the experience, which is why I applied. She had only done the 184 bus to Wood Green, which is why she definitely shouldn't have applied, definitely shouldn't have not told me that she was applying, definitely shouldn't have lied on her CV. Okay, everyone exaggerates a little on their CV, even I did, but I heard from a very good source that she wrote on her CV she was the voice of the Nemesis Inferno at Thorpe Park. Audacious little bitch. I mean, how can one fathom making such a claim when she has only ever been the voice of the 184 bus to Wood Green? It's not even a double-decker. So please just Don't ask Siri, because I cannot bear to hear her voice and be reminded of how much better my voice is than hers when she's getting six-figure handouts working for Apple and I'm basically not. Instead, I work on a bus, surrounded by zombie commuters that constantly seem to be in autopilot, almost like they're coasting through life. It's not just in their faces. You notice it in the little things, like the way they press the bell with such heaviness.
And I'm still searching for the meaning of life. Because the Oxford Dictionary definition, it betrayed me. It convinced me that life could be categorized into a series of sentences. And maybe that works for prisoners, but I've always wanted to be free. Free like the sun in the sky. But if I'm a star, then I must be a fallen one, because I plan to make an impact. Because life can get confusing when one of your grandma dies and a mum and a sister still ain't speaking, so they're literally side-eyeing each other over the coffin. Love might as well be a four-letter word on a doctor's note that gets prescribed to those that are lonely way too often. Because when the medicine doesn't make you better, it makes you bitter. When love doesn't make you better, it makes you bitter. She said nothing lives in her heart anymore. It's a bando. Her last lover didn't even take time to pack his stuff. His memories are littered all over her floors. So give me an average chick over a bad bitch. Nah, that's BS, because my wife is fine as hell. And I got too much love for the colored girls. But my cousin wants to be a Kardashian. And that's cool, as long as she acknowledges that not every guy is a Kanye West, and that there's very minimal reality shown in a reality show. Will she recognize that face in the mirror once the cameras go off? But you try to convince a confident 21-year-old black girl that perfection doesn't exist, and that it's merely a figment of our exaggerations. Are we still aiming for the same goals that we did when we were kids? Because back then we made goalposts out of jumpers, stones and sticks, and it was still lit. Now we shoot for the stars, never once taking time to admire them. Maybe life moves too fast, because one minute we're in the playpen, then the playground, then it's PlayStations, Playboys and the Playhouse, but we hardly play now. Or some of us play the lottery. My wife's mum thinks that one day she'll win the lottery. How do I convince her that with 7 kids, she's already won it 7 times? How can young parents viewing their kids as a mistake not negatively impact on how we would eventually view ourselves? So we walk around like we were never meant to happen, like our lives were just mistakes on a test that they failed, like our lives were just mistakes on a test that they were too high to take seriously. I'm still searching for the familiarity of that red and white stripe. I'm still trying to find Wally. I'm still trying to find Nemo. I'm still searching for the meaning of life. Or is life about searching for meaning? Because you see, I'm finally the same age as some of the teachers that I had in school, and I suddenly regret how much pressure I put on them to understand everything that we didn't. I'm finally the same age as some of the teachers I had in school, and I suddenly regret how much pressure I put on them to understand everything that we didn't. Thank you. Yeah, as I was saying, this illusion of like travel. London buses are so amazing. Did you see that guy that just came on and played the saxophone? Like, you can be on the bus and some random busker would just come with so much talent, no? I mean, if this wasn't a bus, I would have given him a round of applause. If this wasn't a bus, I would have given him a round of applause. Yeah, so I'm on my way back to Wood Green. That's where I grew up. And I guess the scariest thing about growing up in a particular environment is that when you're in that environment, you think the whole world consists of that specific environment, you know what I mean? You think everyone in the world is the same. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, I grew up in Wood Green. So growing up in Wood Green, I always assumed that 2 pieces of chicken and chips was $1.99. So it wasn't until like one day I was in Baker Street and I was hungry, and I realized that 2 pieces of chicken and chips is not $1.99 in Baker Street. It's actually $2.99. And I guess it's an important analogy to make, simply because when we get to certain areas in life, we kind of make this assumption that we have to adopt the customs of that area or that specific place. It's like, if I want to live in Baker Street, okay, I should start spending $2.99 on chicken and chips. And then when I get to Baker Street, I forget that some people were actually spending $1.99 on chicken and chips. Like, times are real for some people, you know what I mean? And I think that was mainly one of the reasons why I could never particularly relate to the quote-unquote role models, all those guys that were living up in Baker Street with their $2.99 chicken and chips. They just couldn't relate to my $1.99 self. And I think it's important because nowadays, in this day and age, we've got so many shining figures. You know who I think is a great role model? You know who I think is a great role model? John Boyega. Is it Boyega or Boyega? I don't know how to pronounce his second name because I've actually met him, so I can just call him John, you know what I mean? But I think John Boyega is a great like role model, especially guys as well, like Amel Amin. You know, this one of the guys on the bus here looks like Amel Amin, actually, to be honest. But I doubt he'd be here. Like, times ain't that hard, are they? Maze Runner, he's got the Maze Runner checks. But I digress. John Boyega. When I met John Boyega, I said thank you. And I shook his hand for maybe a little too long. Because in this day and age, when you get so used to seeing a black boy from Peckham on the front of a newspaper holding a weapon, that wouldn't have been a surprise. You see them holding a microphone, a baton, but never a lightsaber. I'm not gonna lie, when I saw that image of John holding the lightsaber, tears filled my eyes. Because to me, that was my little brother, that was my little cousin, that was my little nephew, that was Jaden, that was Danny, that was Ish, that was Abdulmalik, that was every kid I'd ever taken to the side and said, listen, there's more to life than these roads. To me, that image was victory, like we finally got one, like we finally arrived, like I told you, mother. That image of a black boy holding a weapon on the front of the newspaper naturally must have made so many black mothers cry, but for a different reason this time. Because we ain't supposed to go from attacking blocks in South London to a galaxy far, far, far away. So when he took the red carpet with the man them and shouted out, the bullets from those imaginary gun fingers shot down every single stereotype we'd ever been forced to live inside in order to survive. It was like reverse psychology, because in an instant, those gun fingers saved someone's life. I said it was like reverse psychology, because in an instant, those gun fingers saved someone's life. It made me think of Nana. Me and Nana worked the 8 a.m. shift at Marks and Spencer coffee shop. And in between deliberately overheating pizzas until they were too burnt to serve to customers and going behind the till and eating them ourselves when the assistant manager left, in between deliberately overheating pizzas and going behind the till and eating them when the assistant manager left, or hiding pieces of sticky toffee cake inside our hut to eat at lunchtime, Nana acted. Nana was an actor. Nana did impressions of each member of the staff with such accuracy that if he could shapeshift, he would have been the perfect Mystique. I'm talking like better than Jennifer Lawrence. But Nana's girlfriend's dad had said to him, "How can you be an actor if you have never been in EastEnders?" You see, the thief, commonly known as time, robbed Nana of his dream. And although it's been over a year since we last spoke and I lost his number, I can imagine Nana seeing that image of John whizzing past him on a bus in South London and smiling. Because now we can dream further than Gus from EastEnders. Because in households where Star Wars would have typically been viewed as witchcraft or demonic, John, you made it a blessing. Now we can walk on skies even though we were always a shade too dark to be Luke Skywalker. You did for us in 2016 what the Black Ranger did for us in 1993. We celebrated the night you got that role like America when Obama got inaugurated. So John, I want to say thank you to you Amel, Idris, and every other role model that saves life in the hood every day without even knowing. So even though we ain't really friends, John, I want to say, bruv, I'm proud. And may the force be with you.
Hey, I want to be a stormtrooper.
Who's that?
Yo, bruv.
Because someone turned the mic down in the audience.
This is live though. So many people. I wish this many people would come to see me like this one day. How did you get this many people here? Who are you?
I'm Suli Breaks.
Breaks? Is that your surname? What kind of a name is that? Aren't you Ghanaian? Look at your head shape.
It's a nickname. Who are you?
Daryl. Daryl Amoko.
You can't be Daryl Amoko.
Why?
Because I'm Daryl Amoko.
No way, I'm Daryl. You just said that you're Suli. And you're old. When I'm old, I won't be here. I'm gonna be a stormtrooper, or a Power Ranger, or a Jedi.
Or a poet.
A poet? No way. You mean like Shakespeare? That's dead. When I get older, I'm gonna change the world. I'm gonna be a superhero. I wanna be a legend like Ali or Will Smith. And I'm gonna live in a nice part of London. My wife is gonna be paying. I'm gonna do great, bruv. People are gonna remember me. I'm gonna be boxing with Floyd Mayweather, running with Bolt. I'm gonna be playing football with Messi and Ronaldo.
I was stripped of my childhood. From the age of 16, I walked naked into manhood. Because my parents were Rolling Stones. No, they were never in a rock band or on the cover of a magazine. It's just that they never hung around long enough to gather any moss. Trips back and forth to Africa in search of a better life for us. Made me feel like the one we had was never good enough. That the one I gave them was never good enough. So me and my siblings learned to harvest ourselves. I'm trying to see the fruits of my labor hanging from our family tree. But you see, it's hard to grow trees when you live in a city. So by the age of 17, I knew walking a certain way would have consequences. That if my trousers were too high around my waist or my trainers were slightly out of date, I might as well be walking with a target painted on my back. You learn to do adult shit real quick where I'm from. You learn to add bass in your voice when asked provocative questions. You learn the exact amount of time required to hold a man's gaze so he don't refer to you as a pussy-o. You learn to read raps, because if you ended up in the wrong postcode, it could have been a rap. You learn that death doesn't have an age limit and that guns are only cool on PlayStation and Terminator movies. You learn that people can be cruel. You finally understand what rent is, and you notice how your parents' mood slightly changes whenever it's due. You learn how the system deliberately chooses to forget about you. How you went to school for 18 years thinking that you learned so much. You didn't learn a thing. The only thing you learned is how to stop being a child. Because the adult world isn't designed for us to dream. It's not designed for us to only feel love. It's a place where a smile is frowned upon, laughter is suspicious, and honesty is betrayal. Tell me, is childhood betrayal? Is it naive enough to make us believe that all this make-believe is real? Because you see, from time to time, I have conversations with my inner child. And he's always smiling. His row of glistening teeth are bridged to the happiness that I sometimes forgot. And he mocks me. He says, I may be weak, but at least I was never afraid. Afraid to love, afraid to trust, afraid to continue running, chasing those realities that we formed that you now decided are better called dreams. Look at you, you're too afraid to even be yourself. Tell me, who's really the immature one? If you let them take me away from you, all you have left is everything that they gave you. Letting them take me away from you is the difference between the profit of a man who gains the world at the price of his soul. If he so desperately wants to be accepted, if he so desperately wants to be an adult, then go. But you will come back. They all come back. They all want to return to their inner child. The only thing is, I don't know if I'll still be here waiting when you do. Thank you. assumption for a lot of people is that because I do this quite consistently, talk to people, like perform on stage, is that this is quite easy. I do it consistently and I do it pretty well, if I'm honest. But I want to say thank you to everyone for coming. Thank you for whatever part of my journey you were involved in, what part you were integrated in, what part you were forced in, and what part you just forced yourself in. And I guess the most important thank you is, I want to say thank you to not only my wife, not only like my friend, just, you know, just thank you for so many things, you know. In life, life is essentially, you know, a series of moments and a series of memories that we put together. And when it comes down to it, we're all gonna die, regardless what everybody says, you know. And the purpose for life is to find something to live for, which I guess communicates into something to die for. But I'm not saying that I wouldn't die for you, but that's not what I'm saying. But I just want to say thank you for giving me so many reasons to live, you know what I mean? I feel like ultimately, you know, if God forbid I die today, you'd give me enough reasons to feel like life has been worth it, you know? A lot of people always say to me, like, how do you know that Linda was the one? Or how do you know that someone is the one? I don't think you ever do. I just think it's a series of moments that eventually reaffirm that someone is the one. So I just want to say thank you for allowing me to make you happy, because when I make you happy, that makes me happy in so many ways, in so many different ways. And I think life is like a journey. And you know, sometimes in any journey you get tired and your feet hurt. I want to say thank you for carrying me. No, it's cool. Huh? I got this, chill. Honestly, I don't think I tell you enough, and I've been emotional this time, because when I look at you and when I talk to you, I don't just see like the moments or the romance. I see like the journey, you know, like so 7 long years, you know. They said to me, oh, you said to me I should have started writing this speech 7 months ago. I've been writing it for 7 years. When I saw you coming down the aisle, it was the first time in my life I could correctly use the word perfect as an adjective. Because you look like God. And no, that's not blasphemy. It's just that each step you took towards me felt like a day. So with your first step, I could see my heaven and my stars in your eyes, in your stride. Your second step said, let there be light. When your feet had touched the ground for the third time, you must have created the creatures, because I could feel the caterpillars turn into butterflies in my stomach. By the time you took your sixth step, you had created me into a man. And on the seventh step, you rested. And our world began. My favorite day of the week will always be our wedding day. Because you have to blink twice when you get to marry the girl of your dreams. If heaven was a place on earth, it'd be in between the space in her dimples. But my ambition is so blinding that at times I don't see it all.